Hi there, I'm Dylanson, and after 14 years of putting it off, we decided that it was time to teach ourselves how to program. But there were just a few problems. Mainly, we have never in our lives programmed a lot, and we don't know how to teach ourselves this skill. So in this series, we are teaching ourselves to program. We quickly found on the internet that Harvard is giving out a free course in which you can get some basic coding experiences, and we quickly set off in doing so. In our first 3 episodes, we watched the first course of this, and in between the last episode and this one, we decided to do a lot of practice on the Scratch side. We're nowhere near being a programmer, so I guess you could say it's time for amateur hour. We've been making 2 projects so far, and these are the first 2 things we've ever coded, of course. So this is the first thing we ever made, the moving Scratch project. When you press the flag button, you get some text, the character asks you where would you like to move, you give him some numbers, and then it just tries to move in that direction. And when it reaches the location, it will make a little sound. So there was actually quite a lot of coding going on behind the screen, so I thought that when I'm going to make this first project, I'm going to make it super duper simple. It was a lot more difficult than I expected beforehand. You can see here all the code we've used. We've added these notes. Programmers like to leave these notes telling you what something should do. So that was project 1, and now on to project 2. The second project we made was more fun to actually play with because it's a maze runner. As you can see, we have these balls going on, and the orange ball needs to reach the green destination. If your orange ball hits something, you get a sound. When you reach the green goal, you get to see your current score. And then after a little while, it goes to the second level. As you can also tell, this blue ball over there is no longer bouncing. That was something we needed help with. Luckily, we got to ask one of our friends, Simon, how we should solve this. And well, we were programming and coding and trying to figure it out for about probably close to 3 hours. And he saw the solution within 2 seconds. So that's kind of nice. We still have a ways to go, I guess. First project took about 10 hours. Second project took, even though it was much more coding, only 5 hours because we knew where to find the buttons and we also knew what the buttons did. Again, if you'd like to see these projects or if you'd love to play this beautiful, beautiful game, they will be down in the description below. I would really recommend you to just also start using Scratch to code something if you've never coded in your life, and just give it a go. Just start.
Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams.
So yeah, we had a lot of fun making those few projects. Now time for us to start looking at the second lecture. So here we go. Alright, they just said that we're going to be using C to be coding with this week. And they also said that, well, he also said that by the end of the program we'll be learning not specifically certain languages, but we'll know how to program. So if something is correct, it will give the answer that should be there, and when it's well designed, it should give it in a way that is pleasing. I believe that his favorite word so far has been, we'll come back to that later, so includes to standard DOH. Yeah, we'll talk about what it is later. Int main void, we'll talk about that later, and the brackets, we'll talk about that later. Okay. Okay, so a compiler is used to turn your written source code, so what we just saw, the printf hello world, into 0s and 1s for your computer, so the computer can actually run whatever you code it. Okay, so a terminal uses a command line interface, so commands, to do stuff, and in this case we're going to compile, I guess.
I'm confused! I'm confused right now, G.
He just said, we typed this down, and we didn't see anything go wrong, so we just assumed that everything went right. So he just showed a few examples of what can go wrong if you try to run an executable. It will just do that, but if you make a few changes to the uncompiled file, it will not be updated automatically to your executable. You'll have to compile first before that happens. And if you try to run the uncompiled file, then it will just say, yeah, you can't do that. Talked about that some functions will have side effects of giving you a return value rather than showing you something immediately. So when you're coding, you're not only telling what type of what your answer shall be equated to, but you also have to say you should expect a string here and store it under answer. It's telling the computer, interpret the answer I'm getting as if it is a string, instead of a number or something else. He's trying to hammer in to never forget that semicolon we have here at the end, and he's also saying, yeah, you're going to forget it. Now he's saying that whether something is capital or not is actually important for how something is interpreted, and I've always struggled with that. Well, I say always. 14 years ago, when I tried this the first time, I was really struggling with being very precise. Aha! The /n was making it so that the cursor was going to the next line rather than staying on the same line as the hello world. And he's saying, yeah, that's more of an aesthetic thing, but I really want you to think about these aesthetic things as well when you're coding. The program doesn't understand yet that it's not supposed to say hello answer, but answer is supposed to be a function, so I guess we're going to see how to turn this text called answer here, how to turn that into a function which is described here. And hopefully then we will be able to type down and get hello dot whatever we type down. In the words of Star Wars, it's working! It's working! Text editors will highlight or change colors from syntax. So the printf and the answer and the string, they all have certain colors, and that's made by the text editor. Oh, actually it looks like string doesn't get its own color. I wish I could ask why. But it does look like int main void, they do get colors, so int is usually used for integer. So if an integer does get its own color, but string doesn't, why is that? They showed that you could also put the get string and the answer inside of the parentheses. The other part, where is it? The printf. You could put down the get string in there, but then it's very hard to use the get string outside of this anywhere else. While in the way they showed it earlier, which is still here, you can later ask the program to use answer in other places as well. Alright, and with that I think we're going to end our 4th lesson of Amateur Hour. I want to reiterate that if you want to follow along, you can find the course CS50 from Harvard in the description below. And if you want to see what we made in Scratch, so our very first, well, maybe not lines of coding, but definitely coding work, you can also find that down below there. I hope you follow along, I hope you had some fun, and I hope to see you in the next episode of Amateur Hour.